I will go briefly into the aspects of emergency and crisis management in the Arctic, and this is sort of a background for the project that is currently being being implemented. And the name of the project is Artificial Intelligence Based Virtual Control Room for the Arctic. And it has just started, and the it will last for 30 months, and it has 22 partners, so it's a huge project. But in order to understand what type of an area we are dealing with, I will go today a little bit about the background in the Arctic, because as we all know, the climate change is inevitable now, and for the Arctic, it means that the Arctic is changing very rapidly, and so the Arctic ice is receding, and so it will give more potential, but also more challenges. So the development of the Arctic, so opportunities and challenges, and it means today that even the most remote regions are being exploited, because there's so much gas and oil and minerals and whatever. But that brings different types of emergency situations. In one hand, it brings lots of tourists who don't know how to cope in the north, and in the other hand, it might be also that we will have some environmental disasters there. And so it has the potentials and challenges. So a little bit about the characteristics of the North, and this is based on my experience in the Barents region, which you can see in the map on the right. So in the North, the distances are long and very strenuous, and the resources are very limited. The weather is severe, and darkness half of the year is very dark, and also the vulnerable environment. And this is interesting that when we started some 20 years ago, and I was actually the one who was putting these bullet points, and then I was saying that let's have also the vulnerable environment, and then the Russians say that no, there's enough in those three, that let's leave the environment away. But today, I was a few years ago, I was in Siberia, in Salekhard, in the Timur Peninsula, and all the Russians, when they were talking about exploiting the natural resources, they were always saying that the environment must be taken into consideration. So there has been also a great change also in the Russia. But anyway, based on the climate change, the large number of people make use of the remote areas and various activities each year, and it means that we have lots of people who cannot cope in the north. They don't know how to behave if something happens, because they are sort of experiencing that everything is normal like back home. It's not in the north. But what is interesting also, that also the indigenous peoples who have been having had their the traditional coping mechanisms in the north, they cannot cope anymore because the climate is not traditional anymore. So that's also a challenge in the north, and that's something that we need to take into consideration. So as I already mentioned, I've been part of the Barents cooperation there for some 20 years, and actually this is based on the four-state agreement, Finland, Norway, Russia, and Sweden, and we have the legal framework based on the state agreement, but then there's still some obstacles. As you might think, we have 4 countries there in the north. We have 3 language groups, so-called Scandinavian, which means Swedish and Norwegian. Then we have Finnish, which is not even an Indo-European language, and then we have Russian. We have 3 security arrangements in the north. Norway is part of NATO. Finland and Sweden are sort of a neutral. And then we have Russia, which is something different. And we have 2 cultures. We have the Western cultures. The Scandinavian countries belong to the Western culture, and the Russian have their own culture, which is, again, it's also developing. They are developing something very odd culture in Russia, in my understanding at the moment. But anyway, they have these obstacles, but then we have we have something common, and the common is the challenges that we have in the north. And we also have sort of developed a will to work together. And then what's interesting for all of us today might be that the main tools that we have there in the north, and that's the active joint committee, which is taking care of everything. But then it's the triannual Barents rescue event, meaning exercises, workshops, conference, you name it. And that's something that it is, and it has been used as an excellent platform to test and validate technologies, solutions, this and that. And it might be also interesting for you in your project that this is something that you might be trying to use your solutions in a totally different environment, but based on a very structured framework in the exercise. And the next exercise that we have in this area is in Bodø in Norway next year, and that's the main theme there is radiation. And also we have been looking at some of the success factors that we need for the emergency management in the north. Anyway, there's of course the general, so we have the common challenges and opportunities, and with cooperation we will promote prosperity and security. We believe in that. And then for some of the specifics, the scarce resources, it means that we try to use help from the neighbors, and also the community resilience. And in the north, everybody is a resource, and that's why I've been very interested in listening to the crowdsourcing and artificial intelligence and that sort of things, how to bring all the people that are for this or that reason in the Arctic, how to build up so that they can be used as resources. Like if the tourists are there, if you have 20,000 tourists in the area, that's even a crowd, and we can be using the crowdsourcing methods. Okay, then cold and dark. So the rescue workers' ability to work in cold and the casualty protection against cold and pre-hospital care. Then for the long distances, it's the transportation and telecommunication capacity. And also here we are looking at for the artificial intelligence, because we cannot be on spot. We need to use other methods there. And then for the preparedness, or for the having everybody as a resource, we need education and preparedness, and also the public-private partnership, so that also the companies that will come there taking or exploiting the minerals and natural resources, so how they will be also be part of the overall preparedness and response in the north if something happens. So with the limited time, I'm already in the conclusion. And the Arctic, it's inevitable that the Arctic will be exploited more and more in the future. So you cannot sort of stop and say that let's save it. No, you cannot save it. But it will be exploited. But how? That's something that we can all work together. And also the accidents and emergencies will occur also in the Arctic. But the scale of the accidents and the scale of emergencies and the consequences of these events, that's not inevitable, because we can greatly reduce the risk and hazards by better cooperation and preparedness and effective response, and also the new modern technology and tools that we have been listening today. And in my opinion, the Arctic is a huge opportunity and a lot of fun. Thank you.